Hola, it's Kaypacha with the weekly Pele report for June 18th of 2025. And I'm up here at the Applegate River, Oregon. Took an hour to get out here, kind of in the middle of nowhere. Nothing going on except the Applegate River, which is drop dead gorgeous beautiful, as that moon is in Aries, bopping through, came out of Pisces into Aries. We got a 3/4 moon happening today, okay, at 27 degrees, 48 minutes of Pisces. And then, you know, the moon moves about a degree every 2 hours. So it'll just be a couple hours later, and we start a new cycle. Moon in Aries. Going to be gorgeous until Friday, when we have what? The solstice. Sun moving out of Gemini into 0 degrees of Cancer, and we've got the turning of the seasons. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, because not only then, she runs into Cancer and bumps into Jupiter. Sun conjunct Jupiter, right in early Cancer, and it's going to be amazing. It's in square to Saturn, Neptune. That is really what I want to be talking about. Sun, Jupiter, square Saturn, Neptune. Sun square Saturn exact on Sunday, squares Neptune on Monday, conjuncts Jupiter on Tuesday. It's all happening, you know, right there. Absolutely beautiful. In addition to that, you know, I mean, the moon keeps on moving on. By Sunday, she goes into Gemini, and then by Tuesday, she's in Cancer. So, you know, next Wednesday, we're going to have the new moon in Cancer. But it's, it's a powerful time. The other thing that I want to be talking a little bit about here is Uranus is in the anorectic, the last degree of Taurus, okay, starting yesterday, the 17th, until July 8th. And I want to talk a little bit about Uranus, the brain. You can see the mantra is about the brain. Uranus and Mercury have to do with the brain. Gemini has to do with the brain. So let's talk a little bit about the brain. All right, everybody, check it out. I just love the white water. I love the white water. I love the waterfall. I love the crashing waves on the beach. I love Cancer with Jupiter and the Sun coming together at the 4th degree. Did you see that chart at the very beginning? This is an interesting configuration going on right now, because what we've got is, if you look at that chart, like everything is, you know, from Saturn and Neptune right at the beginning of Aries. Then we've got, you know, Venus, Uranus, you know, Mercury, Sun, Jupiter, Mars. Everything is below. Mars up there in Virgo, you know, is in conjunct. It's 150 degrees from Saturn and Neptune this week, like today and tomorrow. But besides that, everything's below except for what? Pluto. Pluto up above, okay, up above it all, just in Aquarius, okay, and what we call is there's 9 different chart patterns that you can have: a seesaw, a bundle, a bucket, a bowl. Okay, this one is a locomotive, and the locomotive, the engine of the locomotive is, if you go clockwise, it's the planet at the lead. When they're all kind of, you know, in, so Pluto is this engine of the locomotive, the engine of transformation, the engine of evolution, of change. And besides that, then we've got most everything right down here in what we could call the primitive signs. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. This is the primitive. These are the first 4 signs, okay, of the zodiac. It is the beginning. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, the ram and the bull and the twins and the crab. Fire, earth, air, water. Then we get up to this Mars, okay, in Virgo, which I'll get to in a little bit. But I want to, the mantra this week is about the primitive brain, and, Aries rules the head, all right? And then we've got, this Uranus and Mercury rule the nervous system, and Mercury and Jupiter rule what in astrology is called the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. Mercury is the left brain, the linear, logical, rational, egoic, third dimensional, rationalization that wants to rationalize and justify our animal behaviors. So we've got this Aries, impulse, which is what? Well, now Saturn and Neptune. Boom. Saturn is about limitation, maturity, control, caution, responsibility, and integrity. In Aries, the ram that is impulsive and spontaneous and acting out and primitive and just desires that want to be filled, and sex and assertion and aggression and violence and war and dropping bombs and fighting and fight or flight, so like Saturn in Aries, it's exalted in Libra, it's in its fall in Aries. Like Saturn in Aries is just like, so, hello, we're different. Conjunct Neptune in Aries for the next 6, 8, 9 months. What's Neptune? Passive, go with the flow, spirituality, multi-dimensional dreams, and no time or space, or just kind of la da 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 da. In the sign of Aries. Aries is the arrow that wants to shoot and hit that target, hit that bullseye. It's the bullet, the scalpel, the machete. Boom. And Neptune is just like, the moving target that that's just like all over. So there's no direction, there's no goals, there's no aiming. Neptune is just one with all that is. So this is a very strange time, you get it? Both Saturn and Neptune coming together right at the beginning of Aries. So it's like our primitive brain, our impulses, our desires, our masculine energy, the yang energy, okay, that wants to just start, go, charge, decide, choose, make it happen. And here comes Saturn and Neptune in there that just goes, oh well. Meditate, dream, reflect, contemplate, draw, sit at the river, be cautious, be careful, be in integrity, control that reptilian, animalistic, desire nature, boom. And then, this week, the Sun and Jupiter come into Cancer. Water, intuitive, emotions. Jupiter is the right brain. I just intuit. Okay, I don't need to explain or rationalize or justify. I am just like, I know what I know without knowing how I know it. I just know what's true and what's right and what's beautiful. Jupiter is the guru. Natural law, natural wisdom. Yeah? It's not to do with, authority or teachers or governments or parents needing to prove ourselves. We just know. In water. Yeah? Emotional feeling, spirit, and intuition. So you can see that these two are at odds. Saturn wants to control and mature and grow, into a responsible citizen of our country and our world, and get it together, become an elder. And the Sun and Jupiter are saying, wait a minute, I want to feel, I want to sense, I want to tap into the waters of life, and I need space, I need freedom, I need nature and whoosh, beauty, inspiration. So there is this, push and pull. Venus in Taurus, the bull of fertility, wants some pleasure. I talked about it last week, and some comfort and some nice touch and sensual stimulation and chocolate and wine and goodies and massage and orgasm and just like and Cancer wants to be cuddled and snuggled and held and made to feel safe and just like let go of my anxiety and my stress and flow down the river in a canoe, an inner tube, or nothing at all. Yeah, baby. Wow. So the Sabian symbol, this is so apropos. This is so amazing. We're at this turning point of the solstice where the building power of the day, of the yang, of the masculine, of the light reaches its maximum and hands it over, turns it over to the forces of the yin, the forces of darkness, the forces of earth and water. And so from now on, in the northern hemisphere, where the Greek astrologers and Sumeria and a lot of this was north of the equator, so much of this is all, around the northern hemisphere. So in the northern hemisphere, it's the longest day, and the night is going to take over. The yin, the feminine. So this is just about as, it's this turning point. And I talked about it last week, that 90-degree square is this turning point of breaking free from the past, deciding to be something new, something different, stepping out, stepping away. So now we are at the 4th degree of Cancer. Let me read it to you. It's a cat arguing with a mouse. It's an attempt at self-justification. We are still involved in the results of an act which brought about a radical reorientation of one's life. I don't know about you, but almost everybody I talk to is going through a radical reorientation to life. This is Saturn, Neptune. The drives, Aries, of the biopsychic organism, Aries and Taurus, are still not easily conquered. A multitude of lesser decisions inevitably follows the big and grand gestures of repudiation and realignment. So at the square, right, we talked about Jupiter square Saturn, this has been a time of, okay, I'm no longer that person. I want to be this person. I'm going to change. I'm going to move. I'm going to break up. I'm going to get married. I'm going to get together. I'm going to quit. I'm going to start. The big decision of, oh yes, this is the new me. This is my new life. So we do that, but it's in the Sabian symbol. It's in the mantra for this week. And it's going to be going on until next February. The desires of the body still drown the voice of the new person. One argues with oneself, hoping to convince oneself that the old impulses are still legitimate. At this stage of the sequence, hesitancy and conflicting motives are still inevitable. The mind is very clever. The mind is very clever. The ego is very clever at not facing the consequences which follow from desires or even from restlessness. Attempts at, in capital letters, rationalization are experienced and should be understood. I think anybody who has tried to break a habit knows exactly this part of the phase, part of the cycle, part of the process. You make the grand decision, the grand gesture. That's it. I quit smoking. That's it. I quit drinking. That's it. I quit screwing around. I'm going to be, Mars and Virgo. I'm going to be a pure, true, boom, expression of my highest self. Great. That's the beginning. That's the start. That's the, yeah. Until the body, the reptilian brain, which is associated, with Uranus is the brain, but the moon is our habit life. The moon is our subconscious. The moon is our inner child, that says, and kind of sneaks up on us, right? Oh, you know what? Boy, I could sure go for a toke. Boy, I sure could go for a drink. It's been such a hard, it's not been a hard day, or I just had an argument with my beloved, or I just, blah, 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 got a flat tire, or my car broke down. Habit life. Even like when to wake up or when to go to sleep, our rhythms, the circadian rhythm. We just get into habits. We get into ruts, and the brain remembers this. And that reptilian brain that is about survival, and I have to think of it, this isn't just us as individuals.
This is the world, right? Somebody drops a bomb on you, somebody hits you in the face, your reptilian brain, which is about survival, comes back and says, bam, you hit me, I'm going to hit you. It's the old eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, you know. It's the old survival of the fittest. It's the old animal, primitive, fight or flight. I mean, this is just like a certain evolutionary stage that every human being goes through and hopefully matures, grows, and evolves beyond. And that next step is, no, you know what? You know, I have an instinct to punch you back. I have an instinct to attack you if you attacked me. I have an instinct. I have a desire to get even. I have a desire for revenge. Right? I have envy. I have jealousy. I have all of these, you know, I'm going to get these rich people, or I'm going to get these, you know, different religion or darker skin or whatever. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to assert my superiority or what. I mean, there are very, very many primitive emotions. And these come with the moon, with Cancer, with the subconscious, and these can be coming up for us now. This moon is in her, you know, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. I mean, she's sweeping through the primitive signs, right? And is that the person that we want to be? Driven by our desires? Overcome by or ruled by our passions? You know, just what, you know, have sex with anybody? You know, grab all the money in the world, you know, just, you know, steal, rob other people's stuff, have no morals or ethics or integrity, or just, you know, it's all about me. It's all about my survival, my desires, I, me, my. At some point, houses 1, 2, 3, 4, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, breaks into Leo, breaks, you know, through Leo to Scorpio, and moves into what? Pluto in Aquarius, is seeking to evolve our social consciousness. That it's not about strictly individual needs, expressions, desires, and fulfillment, but we evolve as a species, we evolve as a collective. We want to return to the unified source of all humanity, of all creation, and we transcend, or we transform, we evolve a social consciousness, a collective consciousness that involves letting go of some of our, you know, Aquarius is opposite Leo. And Leo is the king or the queen, the I, me, my. You know, Mars just left Leo, you know, to get into Virgo, the sign of service to a greater whole. So it's interesting. The human experience, I really believe, cannot be fully fulfilled unto itself without integrating, without contributing, without serving somebody. I guess that's my song for this week. I think I just did a Bob Dylan song, doggone it, but I didn't think of a song before I started, but you're going to have to serve somebody. I forget the name of the song, but Mars and Virgo, in conjunct, even Neptune is about service. Saturn, Neptune is about, responsibility for the whole, supporting nature, supporting the whole. So yeah, we're living in dangerous times, on the brink of war. Animal desires to control, to dominate, to inflict pain on, revenge and on somebody. This tit for tat, eye for an eye. I mean, come on, man. When are we going to get over all this fighting? Such bullshit. It's a sad time. It's a sad situation. And you may need to shed some tears over the ignorance, over the pain that's being inflicted on innocent people, the scars and the trauma and the wounds that are gonna, we don't all have these past life memories of trauma, of dying horrific deaths for nothing. So many of us have gone through so many past life traumas and terrors and deaths that it's just got to stop. Absolute insanity, man. Anyway, I don't want to get preachy here. I just want to say I am forever receiving impulses. Uranus at the 29th degree of Taurus. Uranus is our synapses of the brain, our electrical impulses, right? Impulse. I mean, there can be many in a second. That's how many impulses we can get. Boom, 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 boom. I want this, I want that, I don't want that, I'm afraid of that, I want that, more of that, less of that. From my primitive reptilian brain. It's located at the very base of the spine, right? So you got your left hemisphere, the right hemisphere, and then in the middle, right? I think it's the cerebral cortex, right? Yeah. This is just the reptilian primordial primitive brain. Super unconscious. Well, it's time, folks. It's time to make the unconscious conscious. It's time to intercept our impulses. Instead of just being a slave to our desires, Saturn and Neptune in Aries are saying, rise up, control, decide, choose, direct, manage those fire, so like over and over and over, it's like, oh man, bum, 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 bum. I gotta be on it. It's just like, it's not just I'll just make one decision. When it comes to habits, when it comes to change, you got to make that same decision over and over and over again. And direct them again and again. You know what I'm talking about? One more time. Yeah. I am forever receiving impulses from my primitive reptilian brain. In order to grow, I need to control and direct them again and again. Yeah. It happens through time. I always say the test of desire is time. Holding that same desire, that same focus, that same goal through time, through Saturn, the universe is watching. Spirit knows. You don't just want it for a minute. You just don't want it to get out of trouble. You don't just want it to win a lover. No, you want it over a long period of time. The universe says, oh yeah, he, she, or it really wants it bad. Let's give it to him. That's what discipline is about. That's what Saturn is about. That's what maturity is about. That's what it's all about. Yeah? At this particular time. Stick-to-itiveness. Stick-to-itiveness. We can do this. That butterfly just keeps on coming around and around. Anyway, one last time, man. I am forever receiving impulses from my primitive reptilian brain. In order to grow, I need to control and direct them again and again. Have fun. Become the director of your own movie. Namaste. Aloha. So much love. Ow!